Here's the brutal truth about Kirby Dach and the Montreal Canadiens. Even if he is injured, even if he is not in the lineup, we still have trade rumors and trade conversations to go out there to talk about when it comes to this guy right here. Obviously, Montreal Canadiens fans have had their patience tested with Kirby Dach, a former third overall pick drafted by Chicago back in 2019, a guy that at his peak was supposed to be a Ryan Getzlaf-esque, big, soft hands playmaker at the NHL level, a first-line center caliber guy. That was the projection that Dach had back as a prospect in the WHL. He made the NHL right away, getting 23 points in 64 games. But unfortunately for Dach, his career has been plagued over and over again by injuries. At some point, you have to ask yourself, is there an element of Dach's gameplay itself that leads to him getting injured more often than anybody else, it seems? Because this guy has missed so much time over the past few years. 18 games played in 2021, 70 games played in 2022, so okay, there you go, that's almost a full year. 58 games the next year, 2 the year after that, followed up by 57 games, and now 32 games this season with the Montreal Canadiens. It's been very frustrating for Habs fans, especially understanding the potential that Dach had, or still has if you want to debate that. But with all that said, even though Dach has not been playing for the Canadiens as of late, we still have some trade talk to go over, talked about by Renaud Lavoie on the recent episode of the BPM Sports Talk radio show. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this article posted by Charles-Alexis Brisebois on donlescoulisses.com. It's originally in French, but we translated it to English via the Google machine, and it dives into how Renaud Lavoie said it wouldn't surprise him if the LA Kings were going out there and trying to get this guy Dach. The question is proposed at the beginning of the article. What is the future of Kirby Dach in Montreal? As we had discussed recently, the Canadiens want to retain the rights to Kirby Dach, who is an RFA this summer, for the 26-27 season. They will have to submit a qualifying offer of $4 million in order for that to go through, and it's possible that he will accept. If the Canadiens do not want to go to that dollar amount on the qualifying offer, the player could become an unrestricted free agent a year early. These questions need to be asked because Kirby Dach injured himself again 2 days ago. We don't know what the doctors will tell him, but he's likely to miss some games again. This, of course, happened following the hit from Jeffrey Viel from the Anaheim Ducks. The article goes out there and correctly cites Kirby Dach and his contract situation. He is making $3.362 million a year till the end of this season. His minor salary is $4 million apiece. So this is a guy who, at 25 years old, is already approaching a decent qualifying offer financial territory. It's not going to be cheap, technically, to keep Kirby Dach around. Let's go back over to the article and take a look at what's going on here. The player, who reportedly doesn't have the most exemplary attitude, has been the subject of trade rumors for some time now. The Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Canadiens in particular, have discussed his situation. Now, that is a pretty big update as well. The Maple Leafs getting involved in Toronto Maple Leafs discourse. This is actually from earlier last week. Rumors circling around the Maple Leafs actually getting involved in Dach, Reinbacher, Gooley talk. This is all related to the Matthew Knies rumors that we had made a video about earlier last week as well. But with the Maple Leafs potentially being in on Dach, the question is, what will Kent Hughes do with this guy? Earlier yesterday morning, Renaud Lavoie was asked the question on BPM Sports Talk Radio, and in his response, he mentioned that yes, it's possible the Habs will trade Dach. But if it happens, it won't be at any cost. In reality, if the Canadiens trade him, the club will need the resources to replace him, and internally, the solution does not seem obvious. If the Canadiens trade him, they'll need to acquire a piece that'll help them reach the next level in the future, and if Kent Hughes doesn't get that, Dach could very well be back with the team next season. Renaud Lavoie gave the example of Philippe Deneau. He wouldn't be surprised if LA's management had asked for Dach during discussions, but it's not the kind of trade the Canadiens could go through. If Dach is traded, it won't be for an older, more veteran-like player a la Philippe Deneau. It'll be for a player who can have a greater impact in the medium and long term. The price to pay to take Kirby Dach out of Montreal is high, Renaud Lavoie said. The case will not be simple because Dach, who was acquired by the current management, never manages to take off due to his numerous injuries, and any club that might go after him knows that. So, that obviously is quite the update here, hearing that the LA Kings supposedly could have been interested in Kirby Dach and the Philippe Deneau trade talks. Of course, we all recognize Philippe Deneau was acquired from the LA Kings for a very reasonably small price. And it's kind of interesting to me hearing about Kirby Dach's name being tossed in there because it's like, Philippe Deneau was traded over to the Montreal Canadiens for peanuts, relatively speaking. So if the LA Kings were actually asking for Kirby Dach, it either means that they evaluate this guy so lowly that they think to themselves, oh, well, if Philippe Deneau can get traded over for a second and a fourth? Just a second round pick, I guess. And look at that! AI overview. It is our video over here. That is amazing. Thank you to Google for going out there and putting our video on blast. But if Philippe Deneau was traded for a second, it's like, do they evaluate Kirby Dach the same way? Honestly, in my head, I think of Kirby Dach as an asset that isn't worth nearly as much as he was in the past. Obviously, he was taken third overall, so he was, at one point, one of the best NHL prospects affiliated with an NHL team. But nowadays, after seeing him get flipped over to Montreal for the first-round pick that the Habs acquired from the Alexander Romanov trade from the Islanders, if I recall correctly, seeing Dach go down this path of constant injuries and constant missed time, it's very difficult to fully internalize what this guy could be worth because, yes, he did have a very good season to open up his career with Montreal, 38 points in 58 games, but that was 3 years ago. Dach was 22. Now he's 25, and he hasn't really improved much. He hasn't really played much either. There's been so little room for improvement because Dach is just never available. And I'm also thinking about it like, hey, Renaud Lavoie said on the broadcast that, if the Canadiens trade Dach, they need to make sure they're getting some middle to long-term future-like assets that can help him out to replace Dach. But I'm thinking about it like this, Kirby Dach was missing for most of the year and the Canadiens were still doing all right. I understand that they are maybe 2-3 years ahead in their rebuild. They weren't supposed to be as good as they are right now at this time. But even without Kirby Dach, the team's still doing all right. So I do question whether or not Kirby Dach's value to Montreal really is as much as it's made out to be in the way that Renaud Lavoie is articulating his value in these trade conversations. So with all that said, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Kirby Dach and the trade rumors linking him to Toronto, linking him to LA? If you're a Kings fan, if you're a Leafs fan, would you be interested in getting a third overall pick who is 25 years old, who has missed out on so much time that you're going to have to extend it to 3, 4, 5 hands just to count the amount of games he has missed at this point? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.